Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everybody Matters, Family and Friends Edition. I'm Jill Catherine, I'm the host of the chat, and thank you for joining us today. Our Family and Friends Edition is something that we do every month, and that we choose a topic to discuss that can support you in supporting your loved one in their recovery from an eating disorder or body dissatisfaction. So we also give us an opportunity to be live here to answer any questions you may have that I can do that are broad to what this process is like. So thanks for joining us. We do have a collection of videos available that are available to you that touch on a variety of topics based on time of year that could be helpful in supporting your loved one. So take a look at those. They're up on the YouTube channel. So one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about today is, let me take a step back. So every week we do a live chat with those who are in recovery. It's a weekly chat. People tune in from all over. And it's really a group that we support and empower each other to not just heal, or not just recover, but heal and move on in our lives. And such a component to this for someone that you know who's struggling is that healing and recovery process is also a discovery process for them to discover who they are. The eating disorder, the brain disease of the eating disorder consumes the identity of your loved one. When they're in the thick of the disease, they cannot separate their sense of self. All they've come to know and relate to is with the disease. And I'm sure you've experienced this with your loved one, where they retreated maybe from activities they loved, or become more of a recluse and are less social and start to withdraw. One of the women on our chats talked about it as a turtle who pulls its head into the shell, right? And that's unfortunately a common behavior that happens to those who struggle with this disease. As one goes through that healing process, and we have some videos available that talk about setting up a treatment team, what that looks like, what those components are. So we have a lot of those videos available to you that are really eating disorder 101 specific. And now we're going to take it a little bit more deeply here, moving forward into our videos. It is now, as we move through the recovery process, you move into that process of healing and discovery of who am I. And one of the things that is really important in that process is the concept of surrendering. Okay, and what I mean by surrender is, I'm going to read you something, a sentence here. Surrender can be confused with giving up. Instead, it's a letting go of something that no longer serves you, so that you can let in something new that does. So your loved one has had a complete identity with this eating disorder identity. And through that recovery and healing process, a separation has to happen, a letting go of something that no longer serves them. For those of us who've had this disease, it comes into our lives in a way that is serving us at the time. It can be, it's not serving us in a way that's, really healthy, but take out that truth, and at the core, we use it because we're in a real place of insecurity within inside of ourselves. So it comes in making us feel better, even though it's not, but it really does make us feel better. So it's for us, it feels like it's serving us, it's helping us. Then there becomes a point for those of us who struggled with this, and for your loved one, if they're being open to treatment and participating in treatment, there's a part of them that says, this doesn't serve me anymore. It's causing me so much harm, and I don't know how to let it go. I don't know how to be better. And so there's a letting go that has to happen, of letting go of this identity with the eating disorder. And as we let something go, we need to let something new in. So we need to surrender. We sort of surrender that, we put up the white flags, but it's not a giving up. It's, I want to let this go. I'm done. I'm done fighting it. Now, let me read you something else with surrender. Shifts do occur when you surrender, and a shift can happen. But the truth is that surrender helps you to create a new set point, meaning the struggle can continue to present itself, but what has changed is your loved one's relationship to it. So they can wave the white flag and say, I need to surrender. I can't do this anymore. I want to let this go. I need to find a different way. I need to let in something else because this is not serving me. That choice makes a shift, but of course that struggle which brought it in the first place is still going to exist. The fear, anxiety, insecurity, worry, uncertainty, pressures. These are all feelings and experiences for those of us who have struggled that called in the disease for the first place, right? So that stuff doesn't go away. If you live in the world, you all know, whether you struggle with an eating disorder or not, we're going to have experience through life all the rainbow of emotions and challenges. So struggles will present itself, but what happens for us is that we learn to create a new set point of how to relate to it. So as your loved one goes through their recovery, they will be triggered by life and be triggered in ways that are not eating disorder specific, that aren't just around body image, that could just be around life stressors, and the struggle will present itself. And yes, we're in recovery, we've made shifts, but it's, learn this new set point of, okay, now what's changed is how your loved one is going to relate to the eating disorder. And that's a oh, sorry about that. We are back and up and running. We are just, we should be right there. Sorry about that. But just like, an athlete has worked certain muscles and over to get stronger and stronger, so is this muscle, their ability to surrender and what their new set point is. That new set point, how they relate to the triggers, is a muscle that gets worked and worked over time, and it gets stronger and stronger and over time. I've had a chat in the past with you all about the value of having, for your loved one to have mentoring, people in their lives who can help, be their trainer in that sense, right? Using the analogy of the muscle getting stronger, mentors that can help them with their identity strengthener, to really encourage them as they're discovering who they are. So, this part of discovering who they are is something that I really want to share with you, how we help to encourage, those who are in recovery and healing on this disease is to really break it down, to realize, because what happens is we get stuck in the question of, well, who am I now? Who am I? If I don't have this, if I'm letting this go, what am I letting in? Who am I? I don't know who I am. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. And that big question is anxiety producing and provoking. So one of the things we talked about on our chat this week, and I think it's helpful to report back to you so you're aware of what we're going through, is we talked about really taking that big picture question of who am I to what are my values, to ground ourselves. Okay, what do I value in life right now as who I am today? What do I value? So what are a few things do I value? It could be emotions that we value. It could be a way of thinking that we value, a way of living. So what do I value? What are my values right now? And then we go through the next process of, okay, what is something that I feel that I wanted to do? One thing, one small action step that we can do. So, for example, we had a number of women on our chat that said there was places they'd always want to go, or a class they'd always want to take, or an interest, a hobby they always wanted to explore, but they just never had. So what we really do is encourage them to listen to what they feel drawn to do. Well, I feel, even if it doesn't make sense to you, even if your loved one is from the suburbs of upstate New York, but they feel drawn to go to take, an African dance and drum workshop. That's something I did. So as an example, so what your loved one might feel drawn to do might not make sense to you. It might feel out of character for them. It might not seem like painting the picture they always used to be. For those who are healing, that's a good thing. For you, it might be off-putting. You might not get it. You might, question, who is this person? Why are they suddenly interested in taking African dance classes? Or I don't get how this is going to help them. I'm sharing this with you because what is mission critical for your loved one in their recovery is to discover who they are. And who they are is someone that you're not going to know yet, because they don't know yet. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you're going to, your loved ones, maybe some of their core personality. Gee, it's being silly. So I hope you're there. We should be coming back live any second now. Here we are. Okay. Good. Good. So I share this with you because, yeah, they'll have their core truth of who you know them to be, without in their heart and soul. What they might be interested in can look to be different. How they might want to express themselves can look to be different, because they're going to be different. There's a reason, part of them, they were withholding themselves from a part of themselves in terms of how they want to, who they are and how they want to express themselves. And that part was withheld through the eating disorder. You take that away, this needs to be, this new energy emerges. And so it's important for you to understand that bigger picture. Number one is as a way that you can positively support them, you know, to be open-minded in and not putting your own restrictions on how you think they're supposed to be and who they're supposed to be. You know, I had a number of women on our chat today say that I'm not supposed to be anything anymore. I've lived my whole life that I was supposed to do this, I was supposed to do that, I was supposed to do that. And now they know, I know I'm not supposed to do anything per se, but I don't know what I want to do. What does that mean? Because they've, you know, finally taken the limit off themselves to say, you know, I've spent my life doing things to please other people, to make, you know, my parents happy, my friends happy, but what makes me happy? These are the questions that they're asking themselves. And that's a real discovery process for them, a trial and error to test things. And so the more you have an understanding of that process, the more gentle you can be with them, because there might be things that they do and they try that won't be right for them over time. And you might know that, but they're going to need to have to discover that. And that's not always an easy thing to do, to watch someone you love potentially go down a path, a way of being, and a way of expressing or having interests that don't seem right to you and you don't think they fit for them, and it might not fit, but they have to find their own way through that. So this recovery to discovery process is the one of the most exciting parts of the healing that comes from the eating disorder, but can be one of the most scarier components too for your loved one, because, you know, like many of the women said to me today, we're like a deer in headlights. It's like, what do I do now? And that can be triggering to eating disorder patterns, because that's what they've known is, I don't know what to do now, so I'm going to go back to fill in the gap. I'm going to fill in the gap, you know, with what I was doing before, even though they don't really want to, but they don't know where to go, right? And so that's what we talked about on our chat today to say, okay, where do we go is we start really small. And we say, what's one thing I've always felt like I wanted to try? Just one thing. One place I've always wanted to visit. This is something I really hope you keep in mind as you get the privilege and to watch and support your loved one in their healing. Thank you for wanting to learn more about what you can do to support them by tuning into our chats. We really appreciate the role that you want to play in their healing. And so I encourage you to encourage your loved one to try something new, start small. You know, we always encourage those on our chats to really listen to what they feel drawn to do. This is how your loved one can change the way they relate to their body. Instead of their body being an object that needs to look a certain way, They start to relate to their body by listening to the feelings they have inside, the sensations, the feelings to be, oh, I'm really drawn to do this. Oh, I feel excited to do this. So they start to use their body as a tool to see what they feel drawn to in life. Instead of their body being what they look like, it's what helps guide them to discover who they are. So encourage them to listen to what their heart is telling them, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Give them the freedom and the flexibility to find their way. Because in the end, they're looking for themselves. That's where they'll find their healing. That's where they'll find their wellness. That's where they'll find their health, is in their heart of what and how they want to be in the world. So it's a discovery process, and you can always help to ground them in their values. You know, I'm sure it's values as parents maybe that you help to instill in your child, your loved one. You can help remind them of just what those values are, and they have the freedom to explore then how those values draw them to certain people and places and things in the world. So the discovery part of who they are is really big. Surrendering is a really key component of that, of them letting go. They're surrendering it to let go, but they have to let in something new, and that newness is who they are. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next month.